There we go. We register how long it takes to go live by where we are on the wave. Hi, everybody. My name is Margaret Pinard. Welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you're here. I am a historical fiction author and a fantasy author and an eclectic reader. And today we're going to be bumping to the front of the queue, the BookTube side of my channel. So welcome to BookTube. We've got a live December TBR / pile of possibilities. So to be read is a little stricter, and I really like the more loose definition of a pile of possibilities. So I'll take you through what I have for sure and for maybes, and maybe something will spark your fire. So pop any questions you have in the chat about any of these books. Like I said on Twitter, you're going to get to hear from the queen of books you've never heard of. So you will likely have questions. Just to let you know, it's a great time for gifting books. I've got a new book out. It's a short story collection called Fabled Passages. There's links all over, so I'll be sure to pop that in, but wanted to remind anyone who's new to the channel. Thanks for visiting. So I also wanted to put something out in the universe because I've had a few side conversations, and I just want to make this real obvious for people. So if anyone has a YouTube channel or an Instagram presence or talks about books somewhere in the universe, and you want to have people on your channel, invite me. I'd love to be part of your channel. I'd love to be part of collaborations. So if you're planning for 2023, don't forget to reach out, and I'm raising my hand for that list if you like what I talk about. So there we go. That's out of the way. Welcome to everybody who's in the chat. Before I start on the continuing reads, which you'll see how I do in my planner, I wanted to say just hi to the people here. RC saying hello. And Anita, I put a poll on YouTube this time. I had extra time to play with. Anita's got a creative answer. She keeps all the book gifts for herself. Wahahaha. I like it. That's a good answer. And Cool Gamer is here. Welcome, welcome. So, in case you haven't seen this before, I keep track of my reads, well, in multiple places, but mostly on Storygraph and here in my planner. So every month I have like my new monthly picture. It's not necessarily symbolic, it's just a pretty big sticker. And right before that is where I collect all of the previous month's books read, and here you have November 22, and I have my little checklist for like diversity so that I make sure I'm not just reading what I've been fed through mass media, because we're not all about that. And whenever I have a book from the previous month that I don't finish, it gets a carrot, kind of like the bullet journaling system where you carry something on to the next list. There are several carrots for November 2022. So let's go over the continuing reads and maybe why I still haven't finished them. So the first one is called Whose Freedom by George Lakoff. It's a nonfiction book. It's an audiobook in my car, and I did not feel like going across the wet lawn to pick it out of the car to show you. So you'll just have to go on my voice. George Lakoff, I think, is a retired academic now. He's a cognitive scientist and a linguist. So he's talking about how language works in your brain, how we actually have neural pathways that frame discussions. And if we hear facts that don't agree with the physical framing we have in our brain, we ignore them, we throw them away, we explain them away, which is very interesting. So this book is from back in like 2005 or 2006. And it was pretty prescient. So that's been a really good read. I'm almost finished, but I do no driving while I'm here with my parents. And so it's like I'm listening to it in like 5-minute bursts, but hopefully I will finish that one. So that's been really good, and I hope to talk about that in the wrap-up pretty soon. Hello, Beth Ann. Welcome, welcome. Ooh, Anita's got maybe a couple panels brewing. Excellent. No new hair. This is growing out from March. We are all about that life. All right, so Whose Freedom? The next one is one that Anita knows, and so she'll appreciate the little bump here. It's an ebook. So that is an audiobook on CD, and this is an ebook with a really pretty cover. It's a fantasy by Allegra Pescatore and JP Burnison called A Bond of Thread. And honestly, it's because I put the ebook on the shelf and I forget that it's there because it doesn't look like a book to me. So I'm 74 pages in of like 370. So I've still got a long way to go, but it's a quick like pace and it's really good. And like, you know, there's different point of views, switching back between the two main characters. It's very delightful. It's just the ebook form. I need to go back and like put that head on. I will do this in December. So yes, a fantasy recommendation. Join me if you want. But that is definitely happening. Continuing reads. One that I just finished early in the month is what my computer is on. So hold on for a second. It's called Sleeper's Castle by Barbara Erskine. It's been taking up a lot of room on my shelf back in Portland, so I took it with me to hammer out, and I finally finished it. It was a lot longer than it needed to be. This is not a recommendation. It's okay. It's a good story. It's definitely in my bailiwick, but not my favorite. So we'll go over that in a future wrap-up as well. And then we've got two more nonfiction that I'm continuing to read. One is The Best American Science and Nature Writing, edited by Ayana Elizabeth Johnson, who I love from All We Can Save. And so this is why I picked up this book new in a bookstore, because Ayana Elizabeth Johnson was the editor. It's been fascinating so far. There have been a couple that have been, and there have been a couple that have been, whoa, really cool. So I don't know, maybe like a quarter or a third of the way through and very much enjoying science and nature writing. Who am I? Who am I right now? And then the other continuing read from November is, of course, Braiding Sweetgrass, which fits the November readathons. We're no longer in November. That's okay. Robin Wall Kimmerer can get me to read her writing any old time. I'm loving this book. I am actually using pencil in the sidelines to highlight quotes because her voice is so beautiful, and I'm trying to slow down and savor each chapter and let it rest, kind of like bread dough. And I just saw that Brian of Bookish channel, the channel is called Bookish. He got in early, right? And he just read this, and I said, "Oh, I'm reading it now." He said, "Yeah, I wish I had read it through more slowly too, because it's so amazing." So good. So good. So there's that. And I think that's it for continuing reads. 1 audio, 1 ebook, and 3 books, one of which I finished since, and 2 that I am still playing out for December. So anyone read any of those? Anyone have any questions? It's okay, Bethan. I normally don't wear it down, but you know, it's Sacramento, and maybe the air is good for my hair. Who knows? Jim says, "Hey, y'all. Good evening to you, Jim." Yay, Anita saying A Bond of Thread. Oh, Anita says it gets spicy later in the book. Well, there's a good motivation to keep going. Hey, Shannon. SD Houston is here. Oh, Jim says I'm reading Babel 17, which I got for New Worlds November. I didn't get to it in November. See, there we go. Continuing reads. So I'm glad others are with me. It's not like as soon as the month finishes, your desire to read that book vanishes. So keep going. Keep going. Make every month an Indigenous read month. Why not, right? And the humidity for Shannon is making the hair poof out. So this is the opposite. Okay, so that's the continuing reads. We're going to go on to like intended reads in a second. But in this first break, I thought I'd put out the author news. So anyone who's booktubers, hold on for like 2 minutes while I get these links out. We've got news on the AuthorTube writing conference front. So I just put out a video with Shannon yesterday about questions for applying to be part of the AuthorTube writing conference. So check that video out if you're interested, and that sounds like something you might want to bone up on and contribute to. It was really fun last year. I've got some links. They're available on the website. I think this is the best starting point, the join page, because you've got the guide there and you've got the links for applying as a speaker or guest speaker, which are open until January 31st. I also heard from Shannon that there's this book club called the Tuber Book Club, run by Books by Adrian. I mean, I knew about that before, but I heard that they've chosen my book to do next. So I thought I'd shout out Adrian, say he does lovely video work as well as working on his first novel. And if they're going to be reading my book, let's do a raid. So you can join. I think it's just an email, putting in your email type deal to be part of the book club. And I don't know which book they've chosen, and I don't know when it will be. It might be the next season, but this is the playlist of all of the previous books, and they specifically choose author tuber books to read. So if that sparks your interest, like, check it out. We love a good tuber book club. Hi, Amy. Welcome. Evening for you as well. Much later evening, perhaps. She says, I was too busy for the AWC this year, but I'm hyped and next year's now that I finally have time to check the panels out. Yay. Yes. Oh, okay. Shannon's telling me Dulci's Legacy, the YA one. Interesting choice. That's what Barrett chose too. Great. And then the final little author news is that one of the things that I did to help authors start streaming was a series this year, 2022, called Sundays on StreamYard, where I did sort of tech tutorials for people starting out on their channels. If that sounds like something you're interested in, those are now complete. I finished the series. I wrapped up last Sunday with GennaRose Romance, and feel free to check out. It's a dozen, not a baker's dozen, but it's a sweet dozen because it involves me. It's a dozen videos where they're about an hour each, and we went through everyone's different needs and how they could use the tools on StreamYard, and we just had a lot of fun. So if you're interested and want some rambly, chatty StreamYard help, that is where you can go to visit. Oh, early morning. Okay, in my pajamas with some tea. Yay! I actually don't have tea today, but I do have my water and my little Christmas tree there. So welcome. Okay, we're ready for our new books. So I know there's a poll on YouTube. If you've done the voting on that, I'll come back to it. Don't let me forget. But I was going to put up a question of the day here, which is there any genre or subgenre you want to give a chance in 2023? So let me know in the comments if that is you. The most famous one, I think, that's going in Christmas is the Cloak and Dagger Christmas, run by Kate Howe. So I have a couple mysteries on here, but I'm not doing any readathons especially. So you'll notice this. It's leftovers, it's grab bag, it's finishing strong for 2022. So intended books. The first one, which I have a commitment to, is Regeneration by Pat Barker, and I've just started this. I'm buddy reading it with Sandy of Ms. Reads a Lot, and we're both at the same place. We just got started. We're trying to stay even with each other, and we'll be having a live show on December 18th, which is very exciting. I think Sandy's only been on one live show before, so again, I'm spreading my live streaming magic in the booktube community and yanking people on stage, which is one of the fun things I like to do. But Sandy's a pro. She's going to be great. This is about Siegfried Sassoon, a World War I poet who is being examined to find out whether he is insane or just neurotic and can be sent back to the battlefront. And it's basically, it seems like 30 pages in, him, which is a real character, and the psychiatrist examining him in like 1917 or so, and it's already really good just 30 pages in. So this is going to be a really good discussion with Sandy of Ms. Reads a Lot on December 18th, so stay tuned for that. So that's a definite commitment book because it's a buddy read and we're already off and running, so that's great. The other ones, as Jim was saying, because he got something for November and didn't end up reading it, that's what this is. I got this last year and meant to read it last month and did not because it was too scary. So RC, if you want to read this with me, it's called The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. Of course, Stephen Graham Jones needs no introduction. He's like the hottest name in horror, indigenous horror, a lot of things. But it's going to be a scary book. So I really want to read it for the themes and commentary, and really don't want to scare the pants off myself. So I will have to read this in daylight. But yes, very excited to get through this in December and see if I can handle Stephen Graham Jones's other work, because he has a lot of books on the backlist if I do end up liking him and being able to handle it. Then we've got a friend's book, The Story of the 100 Promises by Neil Cochrane. This is a historical fantasy fairy tale retelling, but pretty loose. So what I've heard is it's Beauty and the Beast with a queer retelling, but again, very loose. And I know a little bit about this because I've heard Neil in discussions. I went to one of his book events finally before I left Portland at Broadway Books and got to see some friends, and it was lovely. And yeah, there's just so many people that love this book, and I'm very much looking forward to it. It's a big format. You'll notice it's bigger than my head, but I think it'll go pretty quickly. So yeah, very excited. Fairy tale retelling by one of my friends in Portland and published with a friend who's a publisher in Portland, and just all around good feels, I think, is the vibe. Like lots of sad themes, obviously, with the subject matter of like queer identity and finding your truth and facing up to things, and family trauma. So, look at content warnings for this one, but also really sweet and warm and fuzzy, if you can have all those together. So definitely recommended this one, and I think a few people took me up on that. So yeah. All right, let me catch up on the chat a little bit. Because I've got those. Oh no, I have one more. Where'd it go? Here we go. Is there one more? There is one more. Okay, so the other new book I really wanted to finish is a library book called The Well-Gardened Mind, The Restorative Power of Nature by Sue Stuart-Smith. And if this looks familiar to any one of you, it might be because it was recommended in a beautiful vlog, because she always does beautiful vlogs, by Ritual of Reading, which is another booktube channel, which doesn't post as often, but like really does calm voiceovers to beautiful photography and nature and animals and Paris and like what's not to love. So definitely go check out The Ritual of Reading. If I haven't put it in the description, I will afterwards. And let's see. I'll read one of the blurbs on the back. In this gentle and wise book, Sue Stuart-Smith explores the vigorous relationship between the land and mental health, demonstrating the many occasions and ways that gardening can strengthen our inner vitality. And it's not like I have a garden. I definitely do here with my parents, but when I go back, I have a patio. It's cement. But I am interested in this relationship, so I thought I would check it out and maybe use this as a mental health comfort book. So yeah. And then, yes, so now I can take the break and catch up on the chat. Jim's feeling left out. He doesn't have like dye to grow out or hair to poof. Sorry, Jim. Oh yes, there are my links for the AWC applications. Bookers and Purrs stopped by to give a wave. Very nice. Oh, Ben Pick nominated it. All right. Very cool. So I'll be able to learn about Ben's books through his commentary on mine, perhaps. That'd be interesting. That's a fun look. Answer to book gifts. Book genre. If I get time, I would love to try out sci-fi romance, which I don't think is a huge genre, like subgenre, right? Interesting. Fantasy romance is all over the place, right? But sci-fi tends to be like hard sci-fi, and people don't want sex and romance messing up their robots and aliens. Or, maybe they do. I have a friend I know through Mighty Blaze who has an Instagram channel with like 50,000 followers. It's called Romantically Inclined Reviews, and she's a romance reviewer, but she's like a specialist in monster romance. So if anyone is curious, saunter over there and see if you get any of the inside jokes. It takes several layers for sure. But yeah, I don't think that's the sci-fi romance that Shannon is talking about. Tim says, I'm reading Clutch of Constables for Cloak and Dagger Christmas, the only YouTube readathon I'm vaguely participating in for December. Yes, that is the energy. I kind of like, yeah, maybe let's do a genre, but nothing very demanding. Anita says, I already read fairly wide in genres, so no plans to branch out. Sounds good. Yeah, that's pretty similar to me. That's why the horror is like enough of a branch out. Bookers and Purrs. Oh, I loved that book. I think that might be The Only Good Indians based on the next comment. Beth Ann says, very curious to hear how you do with Stephen Graham Jones. I want to try him out, but I'm nervous too. I know. Oh, Jim is pointing out Time Traveler's Wife is sci-fi romance. I didn't get along with that book. So, but that's just one, and it's big. So let's see. Shannon says sci-fi romance is starting to trend more, but I don't know what those look like. Yeah, monster romance, not for me. I have heard of that. There we go. I think if you mean I have heard of The Time Traveler's Wife, it's by Audrey Niffenegger. So that is one to try if you're curious. And Amy says, I'm trying to read more queer books from now until next year. Got 2 I might get to reading this month. Yay! Well, maybe you found the one on my list this month. That'd be fun. All right. The last announcement I wanted to do in this little chat break was to talk about the December Patreon book club pick. It's AMBERLOUGH. We're going to be talking on December 18th. This is the link for checking out Patreon book club. It's /Patreon_MP4. AMBERLOUGh. Oh, and I was going to share this just to be weird. Because I can. Let's do this. So I have a link in my description for the Bookshop, and I was just going to show you what to do when you get there. So if you hit the link, you find out that my bookshop, Margaret Bernard, Taste Life Twice Publishing, has a whole bunch of recommended reading lists. And the first one right now is Patreon Book Club Reads. So I've also got 5-star recommendations, which you've probably heard me talk about and recognize some of these, especially if you watched the really long end of the year book tag wrap up where I was like waxing rhapsodic about 17 different books that had 5 or near 5 stars this year. I've got my own reads in there. I've got writer recommendations and new releases, and some of those you recognize too. So yeah, take a little tour, and then this is AMBERLOUGH, the December book club pick. A double agent sacrifices all his ideals in order to save his smuggler lover before a government coup takes over their decadent city. In Laura Elena Donnelly's glam spy thriller debut, now a Nebula finalist for Best Novel. And Book Riot's review was really interesting, exploring the roots of hatred, nationalism, and fascism, while at the same time celebrating the diversity, love, romance, fashion, and joy the world is capable of producing. So yes, I cannot wait. I don't have this book yet, but I've got 2 weeks, so I'm hopeful. But yeah, so I just thought I'd show that and let people know where that is. Glam spy queer thriller. What's not to love? So yeah. Final maybes for December. So I've got a few categories here, which is mystery, really loosely interpreted. So mystery, adventure, and mystery fantasy. They all kind of get wrapped together. Tell me if you've seen this book around. I don't think it's gotten that much play on YouTube, but I could be wrong. It just could be not where I am. This is Thistlefoot by GennaRose, Nethercott. And if that isn't a brilliant pairing of title and author name, my name is not Margaret Bernard. I got this hardcover. It's one of those ones that I picked up, like the science and nature writing book, because it just seemed too good to wait. Like, yes. We had GennaRose on the Thoughtful Bro show on A Mighty Blaze, and she was just hilarious and really personable, and like had values and things that she pointed out through her writing and through her journey and everything that just really caught my eye. So this is one that I sprung for, and I was like, yes, we're going to get this one new. So Thistlefoot, as you can maybe tell, it's kind of in the TJ Klune type, I wouldn't call it magical realism, but fabulous fiction. And that leads to a lot of people with different interpretations. So if you are interested in this book, let me know. That'd be really fun to buddy read, actually, this month, if you can run out and get it. And the other one that I have on the back list to read is Once There Were Wolves by Charlotte McConaghy. This is like 3 years old, I think. I got this one used. This person was also on A Mighty Blaze, but I was interested in the title because it's set in Scotland. It's billed as like an eco thriller, so there's some sort of environmental. I think that the heroine is an environmentalist scientist, and there's adventure and thriller and that kind of thing. And yes, so it's been sitting there on my shelf. Hold on a second. Sitting there on my shelf, waiting to be read, and never floated up to the top. So hopefully we'll get to this for the mystery section of the month. Whew. Sneezy times. And then the last bit is nonfiction. So let me catch up here. Yes, this Thistlefoot cover looks interesting. Yeah, she was really great. Hi, Richard. Welcome, welcome. We're on the last little bit of the December pile of possibilities, the maybe part. And I'm going to go over nonfiction, which I have 2 of. Again, these are the ones I took with me. So it's a very limited choice pool. But then there's all the ebooks and all the audios. So I'm really narrowing it down. And if you've gotten to this part, I just want to make sure if you are enjoying the stream, don't forget to like, comment. If you're watching this on the replay, I'll be able to see it and I answer every comment. And sure, or subscribe. So there you go. Out to Work. You've seen me talk about this one. It's on my bête noire list at this point. It's Alice Kessler-Harris's almost academic treatment, a history of wage-earning women in the U.S. And I really want to do this to be able to get back to my Chicago novel. So that should happen. Bug me about it if you see me not doing it. And the last nonfiction is Sticking to the Union, which I also had in November, an oral history of the life and times of Julia Rutilla by Sandy Polishuk. And this is a Pacific Northwest historical figure around the 1910s and 20s. And like I said last time, it's a little later than I want for setting purposes, but I think it will have a lot of the same battles, obviously, because we're still fighting them today in the second Gilded Age, as it were. So yeah, so some regional research books. And there's even one more. There's even one more I took with me, which is historical fiction, and it's about labor activism. That's The Last Ballad by Wiley Cash. Haven't read him before, saw him on the Blaze, was like instantly smitten. Let me read you why. 6 days a week, Ella Mae Wiggins treks to and from her 12-hour night shift at a mill in Bessemer City, North Carolina. Her husband has run off again, and she must keep her 4 children alive. It's 1929, and the mill's owners pay the workers less because they toil alongside African Americans. While the dirty, hazardous job earns Ella Mae a paltry $9 a week, it's the only opportunity she has. When union leaflets begin circulating, Ella Mae yearns for the better life the organizers promise. But the mill owners claim the union is a front for the communist menace, and they will resort to bloodshed to prevent workers from banding together. On the night of an important rally, Ella Mae, weighing the costs of her long hours and the empty bellies of her children, makes up her mind to join the movement, a decision that will have lasting consequences. Yeah. Ugh. So I'm really looking forward to breaking into Wiley Cash. He seems really, really good. Again, caught him in an interview and was very impressed. So yeah. All right, let's break up the poll and see what we've got in the poll. So if you just come on and haven't seen it yet, really quick, register your vote in the YouTube poll. How many of your gifts for other people are books this year? And so I had 4 categories. 0 to 10%, we're not proselytizers. 11 to 50%, I give gifts to unfun people, which is understandable. 51 to 75%, I'm surrounded by book lovers. And 76 to 100%, we know what we want, right? So I thought that was pretty funny. We've got 50%, 0 to 10%. Who are you people? 25%. 51 to 75, so that's like most of your gifts or books, and then 12% for 11 to 50 and 76 to 100. That's an interesting split. That's kind of like the what do they call it in bowling when you have two on the outside? That's an interesting split. So there we go. I don't know how to save the poll results, so I just took a screenshot. And then coming back for the final closeout here. Yeah, I definitely looked up and at the camera for you for that line, Richard. Can you gift your own book? I mean, you could. It's got monetary value. Have you not gifted your book to someone yet, Richard? See, Margaret, if you have a paperback of your collection, you can gift. You can gift an ebook. I'm just saying, you can. Amy says, guilty. My in real life friends just don't read. LOL. I don't know why I put up with them. Unfun people. I know, right? Who? All right. So in closing, to answer Richard's question, here's your link. You can gift ebooks. It's pretty easy. You know what would make a fun gift? A short story collection. You know what would make a fun gift for me? Inviting me to your book club to talk about one of my books. So I just put a link to check all my books out on Books to Read, so you can get them through any retailer. But that is it for me today. Bang on the half hour. I'm good. I'm getting good at this. It only took 2.5 years, right? So anyone else have questions about the books as the queen of books you've never heard of? I'm sure some of them were novel. Or the new genres you're going to try. Maybe you want a buddy. Maybe you want to buddy read any of these books with me. I don't know. But if you're watching this on the replay relatively soon and there's still some December left, let me know if that is the case. And I'm happy to collaborate. As I said at the beginning of this video, I'm just putting it out there in the universe. I would love to come on other people's channels and talk books, talk authoring, talk lots of stuff. So if you've been lurking and want to collaborate or brainstorm or do anything on the screen, hit me up. I'm on Twitter. You can always do it in a YouTube comment, etc., etc., etc. You can get another glimpse of a collaboration next Sunday when we will be doing a planning live stream, goal planning for 2023. I've got, who do I have on for this? I can look at the thumbnail. I don't have the thumbnail up yet, but it's here. It's here in my planner. My whole brain is here in my planner. RK Stumbling Bear, Vanessa Junta, Tracy Momi Reads are those the 3 channels that are confirmed. And the one question mark, I will wait to see when she responds to me on Instagram. But that should be fun. I've got a little outline and I love goal planning sessions. So, some crafting, some collaging, and some chat. Should be good. Yes. Shannon told me. I'm very excited. Dulci's Legacy getting another chance to shine. So thanks for letting me know, Richard. Nice book discussion. Thank you. You won the poll. Did I answer the question of the day? I did not, but now you're putting me on the spot. So, genres I want to try out. Really, what I'm trying out is the horror with the Indigenous read this month. And if I can get along with Mr. Stephen Graham Jones, that opens up some more for next year. R.C. Scott just had a new horror come out. Laura Nettles is going to have horror come out next year. There's going to be a lot out there. So if I can handle it, who knows? But thanks for asking, Shannon. Might pick you up on that in a slightly different format. Okay, intrigued. Something different Shannon is doing with one of her channel series. Ooh, I have an inkling. I have an inkling. All right, and on that high note of a pun, I will say farewell, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. Have a wonderful rest of your week, because this is Tuesday for TBRs. There's still a lot left of the week. Good luck getting through it. Take care of yourselves. Be safe out there, and happy reading.